So, have you ever eaten at Gonzo's? It's right on the edge of downtown Fullerton. Street tacos, great stuff. Man, Taco Tuesdays, it is crowded, so be aware. Anyway, I highly recommend it. Very affordable, good stuff, and they have this great yellow wall, which is really good for demonstrations. All right, there you go, with more stuff you do not need to know for class. But I'm about to start with stuff you do need to know. Now, we haven't spent much time, if any, talking about hue, value, and saturation. And we're not going to spend that much time on them now, but they're things that you should know. Hue is color. So when we go up to image and adjustments, I'm going to come up here to hue and saturation, or Command U. Now, in this adjustment right here in the middle, we've got the hue, saturation, and adjustment here. The top slider is for hue. Hue is the color of a document. When I change this, you will see that, well, the overall color, the dominant color, is very changeable. This particular picture is spectacular for this demonstration. Bottom line is, most of the time, hue you want to leave alone because it's just not something to use. But now skipping down below, we have lightness. Now lightness is, well, it's the light and the dark. So, it's kind of obvious, but I want to explain a little bit about how that works. So I'm going to cancel this, and I'm instead going to go up to the levels adjustment, because the levels adjustment is actually a really good way to explain this. This is a good thing to take note of if you want. So in this graph, we call this graph a histogram. A histogram basically is a visual presentation of the distribution of data. So what that means is, as we look at this, we've got like this mountain here to the left, and it's, a white mountain ridge all the way across. What that really means is that we've got a lot of dark data over here on the left. Now, that means, or that data is actually of a low value. You can see where my mouse is twirling here. I'm at 0 value, which is black. 0 value is darkest, or black. The highest value is 255 over here on the right side. And you can see that we actually have a little bit of a spike there. And in this particular picture, we've got a pretty good distribution of data all the way around. In some of the other pictures, I'll just open up this one for a moment. This cast picture, let me revert it. When we look at this, the histogram shows that we've got a big gap. We don't really have any black information here. So I'm going to take my slider and move it up to, say, the 22 point. Now you can really see how much better that picture looks. The way to think about this is that in this image, we have a range from 0 to 255 of colors. Think of that as 255 lanes on the freeway that we can go on. If 22 of those lanes, or 26, are not being used, well, then it just doesn't work as well. So what we want to do is redistribute this data so that it takes advantage of all of the values available to us. Okay, it can take a bit to wrap your head around that, but value is the light and dark of the distribution data. 0 value is black, 255 is white, which means there's a total of 256 values, because 0 is a value. That's important to remember. You might think back to one of the earlier videos or handouts about bits and bytes, and 8 bits and 8 bits to a byte, however many bytes to a megabyte, so on and so forth. Everything is a multiple of 8. Now here you have 256. That's a multiple of an 8. This is where those things start to make sense. Now another thing to think about here, remember that magic wand and even the magnetic lasso? They work kind of the same way in that the magic wand will select similar tones based on a tolerance of 32. Now what that means is that when we look at our levels here, it selected, let me actually deselect all those. It selected wherever I clicked plus 16 values to the north, 16 values to the south. So that tolerance I pointed out of 32, that means it'll, wherever you click, it'll measure that value and then select the 16 values above it and the 16 values below it for a total tolerance of 32 values. That's how the magic wand works. Now, the magnetic lasso kind of works the same way, in that it will attach itself on your picture to wherever there is a change in value. So understanding the values and how those things work, again, it really comes down to workflow and how you can easily and quickly make selections and make some things work, knowing how these tools work. Okay, so that's that. Now going back to our hue and saturation, here we are again. So the lightness is really 0 value, 256 value. Except in this case, it's really kind of being played out as a matter of percentages, which is why Photoshop does that. I don't know. Anyway, lightness, darkness is a matter of values. So again, hue is the color, value is light and dark, and the last one is saturation. That's this one in the middle. Saturation is the intensity of the color. It's not how much, it's not how bright or anything it is. It's not even which color it is. It's the intensity of the color. So as you can see here, I can turn my saturation way up, and the colors technically aren't changing. They look like they are because they're way more intense. But on the other side, I can make it much less much desaturated. As I work my way down here, a totally desaturated picture is still an image there. It just has no color, which means it looks like black and white. So understanding that saturation is the intensity of color actually gives you a lot of leeway to, I don't know, let me go back to this picture, and I will select, I'll select my wall here. Yeah, that was a weird move. No, I know, I'll select my son's shirt. And now I can select all this. I'll deselect his face because that'll be weird. Come on. And now I will desaturate it. So now you could argue that that looks kind of neat. But what I'm able to do is select an area, make it a black and white area, and not just going up and changing the whole color mode of the entire picture. Again, non-destructive editing. We want to make moves that doesn't ruin your base file. You want to make moves and maneuvers that are going to enhance it, but without throwing away pixels. Okay, back to my main point. Hue is color, saturation is the intensity of the color, and the lightness is the darkness or lightness of things. Those are important concepts to remember and very helpful as you do things, especially in your B-movie poster. Okay, I've talked long enough. We'll talk to you soon. Maybe we'll see you at Gonzo's. Hey, did I show you this? I think I did, but I'm going to show you anyway. This, I'm going to use the lasso tool to select these salsas. Now I'm going to hit delete, and it'll ask me, well, what do you want to fill it with? Content aware. I'm going to say okay, and boom, there it goes. Ain't that amazing? That's amazing. You should agree with me. Yeah, you do? Okay, cool. All right, see ya. Bye.